Okay, fam, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over the grayscale trusts, as well as talk about the markets just a little bit. So with that being said, let's get it. Okay, so we do have some important data coming up this week, which I may or may not talk about with y'all. I believe it's the consumer sentiment report, and there's, I think, a round of GDP data that's supposed to come out. So we'll take a look at that later. So long as those things go good, we could actually get a pop to the upside. What I'm looking for here is a break right above pretty much the level we're sitting at right now, 130 with some candle closes. That would be a break of structure and a clearer trend change. And then, of course, above that, 20,700 would be the next level above that. As long as we keep breaking these flat tops to the upside, I'd say we're good. We could push back to all-time highs. It really kind of depends on the data and, how the markets interpret it. So, there is one other thing I wanted to say as well. There is a potential this could actually be a bear flag formation. Now, I know this is not what people want to hear, and do I think this is actually going to play out like this? Not really, truthfully. But technically speaking, this is a bearish pattern, okay? A bull flag would be a continuation pattern to the upside. A bear flag would be a continuation pattern to the downside, all right? Now, if I were to measure the full move here, and I really highly doubt this is going to happen, okay, this is part of the reason why I'm saying I don't think it's likely, but the move would be all the way down to basically 16,500, which is absolutely crazy. You're talking, we're going all the way back to the lows of January of 2024 at that point, in previous all-time highs at basically December of 2021, before the Fed came out and said they were going to raise rates and then did. Do I think something like this is going to happen? No, personally. But I did just want to point out the pattern as a whole. And again, that would be a pretty crazy drop, right? That'd be 26% to the downside from the peaks. And like I said, I give this a very low probability scenario potential of playing out here, but the chart pattern is still there nonetheless. So I wanted to point that out. So Bitcoin does appear to, as of right now, have bottomed at 77,000. And again, just kind of covering this briefly with you guys because I don't necessarily have time to do it all in a separate video. So, but what I want to, whoops, I didn't want to do that. Okay. Yep, that wasn't supposed to happen. Anyways, so what I want to point out here is that we are starting to kind of maybe get a break of the downtrend line. You see these green candle tops here and how we're pushing against it, right? This candle right here could be a breakout candle, but of course, this is a smaller time frame, so the EMA is starting to curl up. I already told you guys about the bullish divergence. So yeah, there's a real possibility we may be moving up, and you can see it kind of slowly creating higher highs, higher lows here on the 4-hourly time frame, getting that golden cross, finally starting to move up, right? Nice little double bottom, similar to the NASDAQ and all that. It actually looks quite bullish in my opinion. That's just my opinion, of course, but like I told you guys, to be fully convinced of this move, fully convinced of this move, I need to see either a candle close on the daily or the weekly on Bitcoin above this trend line and this trend line, okay? So the current trend line that we're currently trying to push above right now is sitting right about pretty much the current price, okay? About 87,000. Above that in real time would be about 98,000 for Bitcoin. Obviously, the weekly time frame would be much more convincing, right? You can get a daily close above, and then the weekly still turns out red. That would be a false breakout pattern. We don't want that. We want the actual real deal, right? So we did get the daily close, but the question is, are we actually going to get continuation here? We'll keep an eye out on that. I'll let you guys know. So for now, the markets are going up, so perhaps they know something we don't again, and maybe they're expecting good things this week. So if we do end up pushing back to all-time highs on traditional markets, there's a good chance that the crypto markets as a whole are also going to start pushing higher, which means that the trust may start to recover and go back up again. So because there is some level of correlation between traditional assets and digital assets. So anyways, taking a look at LTCN here. So there is a potential for a tweezer bottom here. I think I told you guys about this pattern before, somewhere back here. I can't remember exactly where it was. It might be this area right here, January 24, right? You get this red candle and then a green candle with a nice long wick, two sets of wicks, but it is a red to green move. That's a bullish move. This may be the start of something very similar to that. Doesn't mean it's going to rocket up and do an 8x or 6x or whatever that is, not necessarily, but even if it does, it may take a long time to play out. So regardless, it does look like it's going to hold structure here. So that structure is roughly about $6.80 to $8. Again, I'm still looking at this 54 level as the first take profit. I'm just telling you guys how I would do this if I was still in this trade. So, and then above and beyond that, obviously, if I personally was trading this, I would scale out. So I'd probably take maybe 25, 30% right off the top at this level, and then scale out at higher levels that look like they may be bear zones or people looking to take profit. So 715% here on LTCN, excuse me. So BCHG also still kind of bobbing around this flip zone like LTCN. We're looking for a break of these downtrends on the MACD and on the RSI. When we get that, that's obviously a very bullish signal. I've showed you guys this before, so it shouldn't really come as a shock, those of you that have been subscribed for a while. Okay, so 250 to 280 here for the buy area. The target's still up at 24. Again, if I was in this, I would be looking to scale out beginning at 24. So 886%. HZEN. So next level I'm looking at here is right around $2. It's probably going to bounce off of there at least temporarily, and whether it goes back up immediately or not remains to be seen. First target here at 1060. So 425% ETCG. Basically just this white line right here is what I'm looking at. A lot of price action getting traded through here. It did have a nice little bounce here, and then we kind of haven't really got quite to that level again yet, but you can see it's been a very significant level over time, right? So the white line is down at 7.25, and the target I'd be looking at is up in this red zone at about 20 for about 173% move ETHE. So I'd say it's pretty much right about the zone I'd be looking to pick it up at. You guys can determine whatever is right for you. So 10.25 to 1560 is the zone. But again, right when it hits the top of this box, I mean, this was a swing high in a bear trend, so I suspect it's probably going to hold at least temporarily. Level I'd be looking at here is 72 for the take profit. That could actually be an ultimate take profit, truthfully, because 370%, unless this thing goes to brand new all-time highs, because again, that does match the previous all-time high. So it depends on how you want to strategize, whether that's your first take profit, you think it's going higher, or it's your only take profit, and you're like, well, might be a double top, I don't want to risk it, either way. So GBAT did cut through this white line. Obviously, that's not great. Next level I'd be looking at probably right around this kind of I'd say right around this 175 area. Again, it's not real obvious, but you got like some red candles going into this, and then a red one cut through it, and then it kind of bounced up, got rejected here, rejected here, then held some support, right? You can see what's going on here. So 175 for the next level below that, all the way down 115, target all the way up at 33. So huge potential profit here, 1,710%. Okay, FILG, nice big bounce. I mean, this thing had a very big bounce. Yeah, that's a lot. It's almost a 2x. So anyways, it had a nice bounce. Again, I kind of am looking right around these wick lows. So somewhere around 21.20, maybe all the way down to 12 or 13, somewhere kind of in that range. Because again, you got to understand how smart money works. When they look at the charts, they're looking left, okay? Because you can't see the price action on the right because it hasn't appeared yet, right? Because these things print in real time. So what they're looking for is they're looking for some kind of wick or candle low. More often than not, it turns out to be a wick low right about the same area that they'd be looking to buy at, okay? As you can see, a candle low here. What happened here, we kind of dumped slightly below it, and then it immediately got back up, right? So that's smart money antics for you. So anyways, 400 for the all-time high is what I'd be looking at. So I'm probably just going to pick this candle low down here at 1250 and then say, going back to all-time highs, 3,170%. All right, GLIV, very similar story here, smart money antics, right? So you got a wick here, and then you get all these wicks here, right? So they're kind of touching each other, so to speak. And we should see a bounce off of this level if these wicks are what I think they are. So again, the range $2.20 to $7. You can pick your poison on that one. 82 is the all-time high. That's what I'd be looking at. I do think this one's probably going to bounce right around that $586 area. So 1,315% gain. G-Link, very similar story. Lots of wicks right around that same level. Okay. And again, it's not real obvious unless you actually look at the charts for yourself, but you see a wick here, right? Another one here. That one's not as high, obviously. This one, even this one right here, right? And then you get all these bullish wicks right here, and it kind of lines up perfectly. So that's how you look for that. So anyways, 22, I'd say about 22 to 30 is the area I'd be looking at on this one. And then obviously the all-time high is at 220. So potential 10x move, 880%. Excuse me. Okay, GSOL, this one's kind of a tough one. I would say this white line right here is probably going to be the stopping point. I'd be shocked if it actually went any lower at this point because, again, we are massively oversold here on the weekly. We have been for some time. Again, there's a wick here, right? And then you have this huge wick right here. And then you have another wick that we just saw recently. So it's possible we might get a green candle this week on this one. Obviously, no guarantees, right? But it could happen based on what it looks like. So 80 to 115 is kind of the range I'd be looking at for a PT here, 1,070%. All right, GXLM, nice little potential tweezer bottom there, very bullish setup, right off of a major structured level. And again, you kind of do have some candle wicks here. They're a little bit hard to see, but I mean, they're not real abundant here, but you got like one here, kind of at the lows here, this one, and then like a few right here, and this one, right? So you got your smart money in there trying to sneak in a trade or two. Anyways, I'd be looking for right around 25 to 28 on this one, and then target all the way up at 70. And for those of you guys that don't believe the whole thesis on the wicks, I'm actually going to show you this on a separate chart. We'll see if we can find a chart in the stock market to show you. So 172% mana. It's possible it may bounce immediately from right here. Again, you have a really long green wick right here, and we are tapping that exact low as of right now, right around 550. If you think it's going to go lower, maybe 340. Me personally, I don't think it's going to go lower, but we'll just have to wait and see. So 70 for the target up here, 1,190%. Okay, last but not least here, Zcash, very similar setup, lots of wicks on the downside, right? Again, you have wicks on the upside here and on the downside. So this kind of general area and over here has been very heavily traded, right? So I'd be looking for 235 to about 270 on this one. You could pick the entire range between 205 to 311 or 310 if you're unsure. First target all the way up here at 1015. So we'll just assume that that wick low down there is actually the low, about 340% gain. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys my thoughts going forward on crypto here in a minute. And again, this is just my opinion. It doesn't mean it has to play out. I'm giving you guys my opinion based on experience and technical analysis, right? But there's no guarantees that what I say has to play out. It's just my opinion. So I will take just a random stock here. Let's actually pick the one that we just entered a swing trade on. So, and again, this is kind of on the weekly time frame, but you can kind of see the point here, right? We got a wick here, and then we came back, got rejected. What do? We tapped this exact same wick again, and we pushed up, right? That's probably smart money right there trying to buy that dip. Again, it's not really super obvious, but you kind of have like a couple of wicks, like 1, 2, 3, 4 over here on the left, kind of in that same area. And if I actually go a little bit lower on the chart, you can see the exact same thing happening. So let's go ahead and draw a box here. This isn't going to be a perfect box, y'all. This is just going to be kind of what it is, right? Looking for kind of a major support zone here that's gotten tapped multiple times as a bounce area. So you can see a candle wick here, right? So you got this wick low. What do we get later on to the right? A bunch of wick lows. And what happened? Boom, took off like a rocket. Okay, that's a perfect example of smart money ethics right there. And then kind of a similar setup here, right? So you got some wicks to the downside. You got kind of some very nonchalant wicks to the upside, nice little wick right here, right? And so this area did kind of hold. It got pushed a little bit lower, and then it took off. Again, that's probably just stop loss hunting. A lot of people probably thought these lows were going to be it. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to buy this area. I'm going to put my low or my stop like right below here, right? Right at this 85 cents, and then it drops lower. They stop you out, take your money, and then boom, takes off to the upside, right? So it happens all the time. Trust me. Traders all over the world, day traders, swing traders, options traders, they all experience it. It's just part of the game. So my personal thoughts on crypto is this, okay? So I know we got about 7 or 8 months left in the year. What I'm looking for is the tariff conversations to get all wrapped up and done and over with, okay? For something to come out of that and just say, okay, we're done. This is what it's going to be. And then it's not horrible, right? And the markets rally. And then, of course, for the Fed to do emergency rate cuts, okay? So if we get something like this, I would say probably sometime before June, the last 6 months of the year could be extremely, extremely bullish for crypto. Okay, we could see just an absolute stupid explosion on crypto prices, all crypto prices. That could happen, okay? Last cycle on Bitcoin, as a matter of fact, I believe it was in August that the price of Bitcoin went up on its second leg for about 4 months before 3 or 4 months before topping out. And of course, all coins went stupid. And if you guys were there back then in 2021, you know what I'm talking about. Now, there's an alternative situation here where it's possible that the gold ETF scenario plays out, right? Because we have spot Bitcoin ETFs right now. And I'll have to show you guys this chart again on X or in a later video. But if for whatever reason we get a duplicate scenario where Bitcoin plays out exactly like gold did after it got its first ETF, and as you guys know, the gold ETF after the first one, the price of gold basically went pretty much straight up for about 7 years, okay? It's not going to be a perfect repeat. It may be very similar. There may be still kind of like micro bear markets during that 7-year time frame for crypto. But if we get something similar, 2026 may turn out not to be a bear market year. The cycle theory would have been broken, and we could still have a massive bull run in crypto. Well, probably crypto and stocks, but crypto specifically in this case next year and going forward in time. But again, if I'm going to be completely thoroughly convinced this is going to be the case, I have to see that we are not going to have a bear market and or a recession next year. And I also have to see that crypto is not having massive dumps in November, December of this year going through like Q1 of next year. If I see that we're not selling off in Q1 of next year, I might be a little bit more convinced to say, okay, maybe we are going to have a bull market year, even though technically we're not supposed to based on the cycles. Again, we actually need to get into next year to see that, and we're far, far away from that at this point. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.